my own business. Got my own drinks, popping real expensive things. I ain't got no worries, no. If it's your dream, you can make it happen. It's all about you. It's your life, you could do what you like. Don't let nobody stop you now. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. The power. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. The power. Now can't nobody knock my shine, 'cause I got my own style. Unique and one of a kind. Can nobody hold me back?
Hold me back, no.
Yourself and don't stop.
Hey, y'all.
Keep on reaching higher and
Mine's up, everybody. How are y'all feeling today?
Remain unstoppable, could do the impossible. Don't let nobody stop you now. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. The power. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. You got it, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. The power. I got it.
Hey, y'all. Make sure you guys share this live for us.
Got it.
Clap it out, because I want you to know you got the power, y'all. Come on.
We got the power. Oh,
You got it, you got it, you got it, you got the power. All right. You got it, you got it. Sing it with me, y'all. Put it in the comments and say, I got the power. Let me hear you, Keanna, say, I got the power.
I got the power. Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. And make sure you guys please share this live on your Facebook pages, share it inside your story, all that wonderful stuff as we get ready to get started. Keanna, did you get a chance to share it on your page and all that other wonderful stuff?
I did.
All right. Okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. When we're talking about, you got the power. You got to know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Definitely say hello in the chat. Let me know that you are here. I want to welcome you guys back to Conscious Conversations, because guess what? I know it's been a minute. I've been rocking with the whole still 90s radio at A Square Rebel Radio, and it's all good. But you know what? I cannot completely take away what it is that I really do. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today, snapping back into it, because you guys have been crying like, help me, coach. And so I'm here. And I'm here with some amazing people who are going to be guests coming on the show for the rest of the week. And for next week, we have our 5-day stop stalling, start writing challenge, right? We have this whole big thing coming up in about a week for authors, right? And who I have with me today is an established, published author by the name of let me get that right. Dr. Keanna Lynette. All right. So it's definitely going to be amazing. Y'all clap it up. Definitely clap it up. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my guest. So just to give you guys a little bit about my guest, Keanna is the author of the book Detours to Destiny, right? Wait, it's Detour, not Detours. It's not an S on
Detours.
it.
No, you got it.
And
Detours
I
to
want to say it
Destiny.
right because then when y'all go look for the book,
Yeah.
y'all gonna be blaming me like
Detours.
I can't find it. So let me make sure I got it right. It's Detour to
Yes.
Destiny, okay? And what
Detours to
this book
Destiny.
does is it takes you on a journey through life's unexpected twists and turns, and it's showing you how you can actually be detoured, and it seemed like it's catastrophic at first, but it's going to take you another way. But guess what? Keanna's going to share her personal story with us, and she's also going to share with us some of the things that she went through. And when it comes to becoming an author, as you guys know, I'm an author of about 12 books, and I've helped approximately maybe 100 more. I'm sure it's more, but more people actually become published authors. And I'm just so excited to work with other authors who are out there doing their thing, who can share not only their expertise with you, not just their story, but to give you something that is in them that can actually transform you, because that's what conscious conversations is about. It is about us thinking bigger, thinking deeper, and doing things on a different level here. You know what I mean? So that, because at the end of the day, we know what we think about, we bring about. And so if you don't know how to redirect that and reframe some things, you might be stuck. So a lot of the guests that are going to be coming on this week and next week, they're going to be sharing their stories with you of how they had to change a lot of the things that they thought in order to make some new things happen. So I want you guys to welcome my guest, Keanna. Welcome to Conscious Conversations, baby. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Hey, listen,
I'm
I'm
a
a
breakfast
Mexican.
or loaded state
Like,
fresh.
you know what we just went through,
Yes.
right?
Yes. God bless
Oh
you.
my God, let me tell
God
you
bless you,
guys,
sis.
when
Yes.
you're about to do something great, something crazy will always happen. But
Yes.
y'all know what happened with me? I just start singing, and I was like, "Can't stop me, no, they won't stop me.
Yes.
Can't stop me now. Dream big, think." I got even more amped up because
Yes.
I know when things like that
Mhm.
happen, it's because you're going in the right direction. So,
Yes.
Kiana, can you start
Amen.
by telling us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write the book Detour to Destiny? And can you actually put a copy of the book up to the screen, because I would like for people to actually see the book? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Y'all see that? Y'all see that?
My
Definitely.
labor of love is this
Yeah,
labor of love.
for sure. So, Kiana, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what actually inspired you to write Detour to Destiny.
Yes, absolutely. But first, I want to take a moment to thank you for inviting me on the show and for your first of all, I love your energy. I
Thank
first
you.
got a chance to we first met a couple weeks ago as we sat on the panel together, and just was blown away by how well you were able to speak to the crowd and uplift them, inspire them with your stories
Thank
and your
you.
words of encouragement. So kudos to you for everything that you're doing and for what you did
Kudos
today
to
to
me. I don't
overcome
get
the
to kudos to
obstacles.
myself often. Kudos to
That's
me.
right.
I don't get to say that a
Yes. You have to
lot.
pat yourself, your own self on the back sometimes, right? And so I want to take a moment to give
Yes.
you those flowers as we
Thank you.
get started.
Thank you so
And
much.
so you're welcome. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Dr. Keanna Ralph, but Keanna Lynette Ralph. So I use Keanna Lynette as my pen name for a reason. And so I go by Dr. Keanna Lynette as it pertains to being an author. And I am, first of all, a child of God. I'm
Me
grateful.
to that, honey. You ain't by
Yeah.
yourself.
That's the most important
We
part of
all
who
up
I
in
am.
here, okay?
Yes. I like to share that I came from very humble beginnings. I was born and raised in Camden, New Jersey, and I grew up in the projects, right? Many people don't always know that about myself. They see the doctor in front of the name, and they just automatically think that, oh, okay, she has it made and all this. And but the reality is that I had a very gritty path, right? That I had to overcome. And because life for me, growing up in what at the time was considered one of the most dangerous cities in America and the poorest city in America. I grew up during that time
Wow.
in Camden. I knew that in order for me to break out of that cycle of poverty and be able to move beyond some of the negativity that I had around me at that time. Since then, of course, Camden has definitely has been thriving. But I'm going back to the 90s where, it wasn't so much of a pretty picture, and the struggle was real, as they say. The struggle was real.
Gotcha.
And I
I get
knew
it.
that education was going to be the vehicle for me to get out. And so I committed myself to focusing on school. And from that, I was able to become the first college graduate in my family. Uh, and not just my immediate family. Thank you. Thank you.
Both sides,
But an
honey.
entire
I know that's
from there.
right. Hey, look,
But an
look, let
entire
me tell you,
generation.
swing your hair, baby. Swing your hair, swing your hair.
You said, what, do the hair flip? To God be the glory, though. I mean, honestly, it's just I'm truly blessed, because I was the first to go to college from a bloodline, and also then go on to get my master's and my doctorate. And so I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that God would use me to be the person to help break that generational pattern. Some could say generational curse, however you want to put it. The Lord used me to change
Yeah.
and shift that particular pattern. And so I'm grateful for that. Currently, I teach. I'm a professor. I teach part-time at Rutgers University. I'm also a business consultant. I have my own
Okay.
coaching and consulting company that I established in
Yes,
2016.
yes.
And I and I've worked with organizations such as Newark Board of Education, Pennsylvania Career Link, and providing professional development training and such. And I also do, in the capacity of a coach, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and professionals, helping them to realign with their authentic core self so that they can experience success, fulfillment, and balance in life. And so, and I'm a travel enthusiast. So, in my spare time, that is what I do. I love to travel. I believe that when we travel, we expand our
That
horizon,
part.
right? And I actually just recently launched my YouTube channel where we'll focus on some of those travels, and that's that. Thank you. Live Out Loud with Dr. K. And so, yeah. So a little bit about. Wait, I think I can't hear you. I think you're muted. Oh wait. Okay. Can you repeat that?
I think probably the delay in this thing. I said, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes. Yes. At first you cut
Oh,
out for a second, but I can hear you now.
I was saying I love to travel, so you're gonna have to hook me up,
I got you.
okay?
I got you. Yes, I got you. Yes. We are here. We are
That's what I'm
here.
talking about. So Omar, yeah, and Omar said that he loves your book. And guess what? I'm
Oh,
sure so many other
thank
much
you.
from
Thank you so much.
reading your book and everything.
Thank you.
If you could share with me, what was that process like for you to go from idea in your mind of wanting to write a book to actually publishing the book?
Yeah. So going back to how the whole idea came about, it actually took place. I was a young 20 something. I had recent graduate. I had just finished my master's degree, and I was practically homeless, right? I was living with a cousin at the time, and but I didn't really feel welcome. You know how you overstay that welcome at a point. And I remember just feeling so confused because I was like, I worked so hard to be where I was in terms of the achievements, and I couldn't understand that how I could be unemployed in that moment, practically homeless, and just I was I was frustrated. And so I remember literally laying on the floor, my cousin's living room floor. She wasn't home at the time. I was just prostrate on the floor, stretched out, crying out to God, saying, Lord, what in the world is going on here? Why does my life look like this? And maybe someone else on here feels that way. Like, why? What is happening, Lord? What is happening? Explain to me, please. I don't understand. It's not, the math isn't mathing, right? And so, and I remember hearing the Lord speak to me and saying, Keanna, this is not about you. And first of all, you will get through this. You will get through this, and you will share your story on how you got through it. And that's when he dropped the title in my heart called Detours to Destiny. And I knew this was back in 2005 or 2006. I would go on to publish the book in 2012 because, as fate would have it, in 2011, I connected with a lady who was an author at the time, and she came to me. Went to her workshop, and she was like, "You have a book that you're supposed to publish." And I was like, "Who, me?" As if I didn't, forget what happened back in
Really?
several years ago. I was like, yeah. And so at first
Yeah, I can definitely relate.
Mhm. Yes. And because it's scary, right? Isn't it scary? And when you initially make that decision, it can be a little intimidating at first, right?
Yeah.
And that's how
Yes.
I felt very intimidated because I was just barely 30. I was in my 20s, still probably late 20s at the time. And I was like, who wants to hear from me? Like, who wants to hear from
Right.
me? And I doubted myself in that moment. And I remember the Lord gave me a dream shortly thereafter. And in that dream, I was birthing a baby. And I was like, first of all, I'm not in a relationship. I'm not, so this could not be literal. So right. So I was like, Lord, what are you really trying to say here? Because nothing's about to happen and coming forth out my womb in that sense, in
Right.
the natural, right? But in the spiritual, God was doing the work, right? He was doing the work. And he was showing me that through that dream that he wanted to birth a book through me. And to use it to
Right.
share a message of hope to the people. And it was in that moment that I decided that I would go forth and answer the call to write and publish Detours to Destiny.
Got you. So, of course, as we go through this process, it's always some damn challenge or some obstacles that we face in the
Yeah.
process of writing a book. What were some of the challenges that you experienced as you were writing this book?
I would say about multiple challenges. At the time I wrote the book, I was in a really bad, like was unemployed. I was laid off. We had a mass layoff. And so financially, I had to make a significant investment into the program that I was in when I initially wrote the book, because I published through someone else first. And then years later, back in 2017,
Yes.
I self-published on my own. But nonetheless, I had to pay for that. So financially, that was one. And the second big challenge, I would say that I went through during that time, uh, was getting out my own way, right? Uh, and I can vividly recall struggling with wanting to be open and transparent, right? And I know you can relate to this because I know, like when we,
I can relate.
because you're real, you're authentic, and we share that in common. And people like ourselves, you know, we know that by sharing our story and being vulnerable, that we can help inspire them. But it doesn't mean it's always easy, right? It doesn't mean it's always easy.
Yeah.
And so, and it definitely was far
Right.
from easy in the beginning before I kind of built up that muscle for it, right? And I remember, writing the draft for this book, and I was struggling. I kept getting writer's block, because I was
Yes.
like, I was stuck in my mind. And I remember I had spoken to a friend, and I shared with him the challenges I was dealing with. And he was like, Keanna, you got to get out your own way. And you have to understand that if you don't share your story, then God can't get the glory. And it was in that, yeah, amen. Thank God for good friends and good for godly wisdom, right?
Yes,
Uh,
people who actually
mhm.
really care.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, I'm grateful for that conversation with him because it became a defining moment for me. And I made a decision that, you know what? I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm just going to, as they say, like literally throw up vomit on paper in a sense, right? That means you're literally pouring out your heart and your soul on paper. And I mean, anyone who reads my book, you'll see that it's very raw in a sense that I am honest about what some of the things that have happened to me, some of the things I've gone through.
Yes.
Um, and I'm that way for a reason because I know that in doing so, I'm helping people to get their own breakthrough. And that is what, and it's not just what I think, it's what I've been told too. People
Right.
have come to me later
Right.
and said, this has been such a blessing. And I saw myself, I was able to see myself in you through, I went through something similar. And so it's just really, it was just a powerful testimony to how much our stories can have an impact on others.
It's so true. It's so true. Especially, I think with all of us, anyone who actually finally gets the courage to share their story or write a book, it takes courage
It
to
does.
break past those barriers because sometimes you feel like you may not want people in your business like that, right? You like, I don't need them no more.
Ugh.
All of what's going on with me,
Right.
but the
Yes.
truth is all of what's going on with you is 9 times out of 10, at least half of what's already going on with them too. So
Exactly.
I think that when we go through this book writing process, it's challenging, but the
Hmm.
breakthroughs that you get from
Yeah.
the
Yes.
process as you're
Yes.
writing it is
Yeah.
invaluable. You can't even put
Mm-hmm.
a cost on the
Mm-hmm.
transformation that you get from actually writing your book, guys, and sharing your story. So, when you wrote this book, Keanna, what message did you hope that your readers were going to get when they actually read the book?
Mhm. Yeah, so the foundational scripture that I base my book on is Romans 8:28, that all things work together for the good for those who love God and are
I like
called according to his purpose. And essentially, I wrote it to be a message of hope, to let people, to encourage people, and to let them know that there is purpose in the pain that they endure in life, that there's always as they say, a rainbow after the storm, and that it's important for us to have the perspective, the right perspective, so that we can navigate through the storms of life appropriately, right? Because every task is just going to lead to a testimony, and that the mess we came out is going to be part of the message that we would use one day to help someone else get through their own storm, right? And
yes.
so we can't experience true growth and transformation without some type of challenges in our lives. So it all has purpose.
That's the truth. And guess
Mhm.
what, guys? As much as you want to skip that part, you
Mhm.
can't. Okay.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
The
Not even
ch-
Jesus took that part, right? He said,
right.
if, if I
Exactly.
could pass
Exactly.
this cup, Lord,
I
but
always say nobody is exempt. We all just handle it differently. So
yeah.
nobody is exempt from not ever having a problem, not ever experiencing nothing. Listen, I don't care how great and glamorous my life looks on the outside, and
Mhm.
my heart is
Mhm.
healed. So I don't, but I don't handle things the way that the average person would
Yeah.
handle things, which is how I get through things easily. But
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that I don't be experiencing some things, y'all. I tell you that
Mhm.
right now. It's
Yeah.
just that the being that God has made me, I'm
Yes.
such a tenacious, strong, resilient being that it's almost like nothing affects me. And I hate to say that because people are like, oh my God, that means you're emotionless. It's not that I'm emotionless. I just have such deeper level of understanding and
Mm,
understanding of who we are and
mm.
the capabilities that we
Mhm,
have. And
mhm.
so when I know what I know, then I need to act like I know. I can't be acting like I don't
That
know and
part.
I'm sobbing and okay,
Yes.
not to say that you can't
Yes.
sob through your things, get through that. But then
Yeah.
okay, it comes a point where the sobbing gets cut
Mhm.
off and now you should be planning for your success going forward. You get
Yes.
me?
I get you. Mhm.
Yes, I know you get me, boo.
Mhm. Yes.
So let me ask you, being that the book actually talks about life's detours, I want you to share a significant detour in your life and how you handled it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't listen. I don't know if we have enough time. I mean, I can.
We
Because
can truncate it.
because let me tell you, okay, the detours did not stop after I wrote this book. In fact, I feel like they increased, right? It was like the universe was testing me, like, oh, okay, you want to write a book about detours? Guess what? I got a whole another round of them coming for you, right? And
Right.
so yeah, I so in one of the chapters in this book, right, exactly, like Omar said, we got time. Oh, we got time. So, so I'm going to pinpoint to one actually in the book that I write about.
Okay.
I write about how I was. I mentioned already that at a point in my life some years ago, I was laid off. Actually, this is probably maybe over a decade ago now. I was laid off, mass layoff, because the government was making cuts
Right.
at the time, and I decided to go back to school to pursue my doctorate. And during that time, my unemployment was cut off. And so I had no choice but to go on governmental assistance. And it was the last
Mhm.
thing I wanted to do because I grew up on governmental assistance. And so I know full well what it's like to be a welfare
Yes.
kid, and, nothing against it, but it's not what I wanted for
It's not
my
what you wanted for
future.
yourself. I get
Right.
it.
I
I
was like,
get
I
it.
worked too hard, right?
I
I
mean,
was like,
who really, if we really think about it, whoever really, really wants it, but it's literally a learned behavior because that's what our parents did. And so something when it happens, that's the first thing they tell you to go do. Go get all the sisters, go do this. And so you
exactly.
like, okay.
Right. Right. And I've been pretty much on my own since pretty much a teenager. So it's not like I had anyone to turn to, and I needed to keep
Yes.
I had a home to upkeep, I had a car, payment. I had responsibilities at that point.
Yes.
So, but I had nothing coming, no income.
Mhm.
And I was, I mean, you want to talk about detour. It was like, first of all,
Oh,
like, it was like an
that
abrupt
part.
stop. It was like an abrupt, like, right? And right?
Go get the book.
But
It's all in there.
exactly. But I mean, I remember what if that wasn't difficult enough, having to humble myself and go up there to apply for assistance. But in that moment, during that conversation, I was told that in order to get the assistance, I would have to leave my doctoral program. Like
Oh,
I
man.
would have to drop out of school, right?
Oh,
And
hell to the
I
no.
know, I know.
What
I was
kind of
like,
what kind of mess is that? Y'all want me to drop out of
I had
school?
to drop out of school. I was
This is
like,
this system is
okay.
set up to make you fail anyway, but it's like
Whew.
make that make sense. But go ahead, finish your
Exactly.
story.
Exactly, right? And so but I had no other choice. Like I didn't have any like rich auntie. My parents were never able to take care of me
Help you,
financially. I was
right?
on my own pretty much since a teenager. And so I couldn't go to my parent. I didn't believe in having sugar daddies, right? I was never that person. Uh, never that person. And so, I had no other
Right.
option at that point. So I had to literally drop out of school. And of course, later on, years later, I returned. But for those, I don't know, however months I was on, um, I kept thinking about, did I make the right decision? You know, but it was a decision. It was a decision I made out of
Right.
survival. I knew I had to survive, and so I chose to go that route. And at the end of the day, though, it showed me that life life is really about, first of all, it's 10% on what happens to you, and it's 90% on how you respond. And I could have took that situation and completely gave up and said, you know what, even once because of course I came off, that's I came off, but I went back to work, right? I ended up going to work. I found another job, and I could have never returned to school. I could have just said, you know what, I'm still bruised from that moment. I'm still traumatized from the fact
Right.
that from that moment, right? And I could have never returned, but I still did, and I realized that, it's about time and season. And I didn't allow it to cause me to give up on my dreams. And I didn't allow the
Yeah.
detour to be redirection, right? Because the detours doesn't always mean that you're not supposed to do that thing. It's just maybe you're not supposed to do it at that point. And I had to
At
come to
that
accept
time,
that.
right.
Yeah. At that
Maybe at
time.
that
Yeah.
time, that particular road is under construction. And so you can't
Right.
go that way right
Right.
now. But in
Exactly.
about a week, you're going to have a whole new
Right.
pavement and you can go that way and you're going to get there.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, I
And I
got
will
you,
be
girl.
exactly. And I will say, and the other interesting thing is, I felt like I took a few weeks. I'm sorry, it was actually a couple. It was a couple of years for me. It was a couple of years
Okay.
that it took for me to return to the doctoral program. But when I did, when I tell you that I was determined, because the detours came even heavier, but nothing could stop me because
Hmm.
I remembered what it was like to push pause at that time. And
Yes.
it's not easy to turn back once you push pause. Like, it took work to
Heck
get to
no.
the point where I returned. And so once I returned, oh, I was in it to win it. I was like, I don't care like what happens. I literally had trees fall on my neighbor's car, and like my computers crash while I'm working on my dissertation, all kinds of craziness. But I said,
Oh,
I'm going to finish this program. I'm going to finish this degree, because I
I'm gonna do
remember
this.
what
Yes.
it was like to push pause. And I'm not pushing pause on my destiny
No
anymore.
more.
No more.
Look,
No more.
look. The only time we need to pause at this point is to reflect and remove, and
Right.
then keep going. Then we rise.
Yes. And we rise.
That's
Yeah.
it. We
I
rise
love
exactly.
I
Cause
love that.
we ain't pausing no more, guys. Pausing season is over.
That's
Okay,
right.
y'all done paused all these years. Y'all don't have all these
Mhm.
excuses as to why you can't write your book, why you can't live the life
Mhm.
you want, why you can't get your life together. Y'all got so
Mhm.
many excuses. But
Yeah.
guess what? Excuses be gone. I
Be
claim
gone.
that over your
Yes.
life.
Yes.
Excuses be gone. Guys, you got
Yes.
to understand that, guess what? This journey is beautiful, even
Mm.
though it's a pain in the ass. Excuse my mouth. Peter, I call it PITA, even though it's Peter, it's a Peter. But listen, at the end of the day, it's so worth it.
Mhm.
It's so worth it because you learn so much about
Yeah.
who you are. And guess what? You also learn a lot about who other people are too when you kind of get to this understanding of
Mhm.
realizing that a lot of people don't know who they are and they only presented to you who they thought that they were. You get
Yeah.
me? So, that's going into the healing process, which I know you probably got all going on in your book and all that other wonderful stuff. But what advice would you give somebody that's currently facing an unexpected detour in their life?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing is to be able to stop and assess, right? Because this is the thing. A lot of times we live on autopilot. We're constantly going and moving, and we're on that hamster wheel where we're constantly going and moving, and we don't take time to really acknowledge what is happening. And when we fail to do that, we run the risk of making a poor decision or having a poor response, right? So sometimes you have to take a step back in order to take a few steps forward. And
Yes.
I would say having that moment to if necessary, recalibrate, take a deep breath, right? Um and give yourself grace, right? Give yourself grace because
That part.
because sometimes we're too hard on ourselves. And we have to understand that it's quite okay to even in that moment feel a little sad. Like no one said we're not robots, right? We're human beings. And so if
Right.
you feel sad or disappointed, take a moment to actually feel that feeling because
Yes.
what we resist will persist,
Absolutely.
you know?
I always say you gotta feel it to heal it. Okay.
That part. Yes.
You gotta
You
feel it
have
to
to
heal
feel
it.
it to feel it. Yes. And so it's important to actually go through those emotions because that's where you can find the healing and do the necessary personal development to be able to
Yes.
grow through it, right? Because I think the best thing that you can do whenever you hit a detour, a roadblock, a challenge is to not just go through it, but to grow through it, to see it as an opportunity for advancement, right? A lot of people think,
Yes.
mhm. Right? It's all about perspective, right?
That's
It
right.
comes down to perspective.
It is.
Mhm.
It is. And guys, yeah, and I encourage you guys that all of the time. So even with you guys wanting to even write your book, for those of you guys who want to actually become authors, you have to shift your perspective about that too. You know why? Because sometimes you're going to be overthinking because you're thinking too much about what other people are going to think of you when you do what it is that you're about to do. Even if it's not writing your book, I don't care what it is in your life that you're trying to, put some effort behind because you want to do something great. It's going to be there. But guess what? You have to have the perspective that, yes, I experienced this, but as I will always say, people know from my book, Untraumatized, trauma is not an excuse to hold your future hostage. Okay? Whatever it was is what it was. Here's your time to get it out. Here's your time to write it out. The same way that Keanna did. Keanna, is there a particular story or chapter in your book that stands out that's especially meaningful for you?
Yeah. I have a few, but again,
Sure.
but I go to one in particular that talks about the pitfall of rejection. In fact, this chapter is called The
Mhm.
Pitfall of Rejection. And you mind if I actually read an excerpt? You think that would be helpful to read an excerpt from it? Well, or I mean, I could just talk about it real quickly. But
Yes, talk about it.
okay, so basically, I talk about a story when I was growing up. I was a young child, and it was Christmas Day. And 1995, I remember it still like it was yesterday. I woke up all excited, and as any child would on Christmas Day, you're ready
Right,
to
right.
go, to the look at all the different gifts under the tree, and I woke up too many gifts under the tree. But the problem was that none of them, basically none were for me. So I was like, oh, this is great, but this is not so great. Right. And so um basically most of the gifts were I think there was maybe one that was there for me, but out of all the gifts that were under the tree,
Okay.
they were for my two younger sisters.
Okay.
And I was devastated because I couldn't understand, like, why was I being treated that way. And as a child,
Mhm.
in my mind, I couldn't figure out what I had done to cause me to receive um
That type
the
of, I get it. I get
such
it.
to be neglected in that way, right? And I remember going to the bathroom and literally having a razor in my hand. And I
Mm.
was just a child, not even a teenager,
Yes,
young child.
yes,
And wanting to literally like take my own life in that moment because I had already experienced years of rejection. I already experienced years of abandonment because my father wasn't in my
yes.
life. I never felt like I quite fit in, and it was just like a breaking point for me because I was like, okay, I mean, I've worked so hard to earn that love by doing well in school, being an honor roll student,
Yes.
and helping to take care of my siblings. So in my mind, it was like there was nothing that I could do to be accepted. And
I
so
got you.
um I thought that the only other answer then was to, yeah, to end it, right? And thank God I didn't. Thank God something in me knew that, okay, that wasn't that wasn't God's plan for my
That
life.
wasn't the solution, right?
That wasn't the solution, right? And it's
Yeah,
never the solution, right? And that's for anyone
right.
who may listen to this and they may be contemplating, know that that's never the solution. That's never the answer. And
Look, and I want to say to any of you guys, if you are having any type of suicidal thoughts or things like that, while Keanna is mentioning this, please get help. Don't
yes,
try to manage it
mhm,
by yourself if you can't.
yes,
And sometimes you may be talking to people who may not have the capacity to really understand where you're coming from, especially when you're trying to tell family certain things and they don't want to hear what you're saying, or maybe you're trying to talk to your mate about something and maybe they're not really hearing you, or sometimes you could be saying it so much that you drive the person away and they don't want to hear it. But either way, find there are counselors that are available online, 1-800 numbers, 24 hours a day, where you guys can get support. Call whoever it is that you can, that is close to you, that you think care enough about you, or that care enough about you. For example, I had and I think Shadira is here. Shadira is one of my clients that I actually helped to write a book. And as she was going through some things, she was just like, listen, I'm ready to give it all up. She was like, F the kids, F this, F that. She was like really at her wits' end. And she called me and she's like, oh, well, I'm over this. Da, 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 da. So somebody like me who cared got in my car, hauled ass to her house, lightning speed, so that she could get the support that she needed. So she's still alive today.
praise God.
And when she comes on next week and she shares her story, she's gonna tell y'all that if it wasn't for Takiyah Diamond, I probably wouldn't be here. Because
Mm,
you have to talk to people who actually GAF, people who really care.
yes, yeah, yeah. And what also helped me, even though I didn't have a relationship with God in that sense, like I felt God was always with me. And I believe it was because there's been other times throughout my life where I believe there were literally angels that he sent to to help me not make that decision.
Yes.
Um, and I'm grateful that no matter how painful it was to go through that emotion, that I was able to push past the pain and still become the person I am today. I could use the pain as a driver, essentially, to
Yes.
create the future that I desire, to be able to find meaning in other ways. Like, I think we look too much for meaning in other people when that's not where our true meaning comes from. That's not where our value. We can't look for our value
Yes.
in other people, right? And so,
And guess what? I bet you didn't even see this coming, right?
I didn't. I had no clue.
You didn't see that coming, that you would be this person
Yeah,
with your doctorate's
yeah,
degree, this person who unconditionally loves herself. So it doesn't even matter at this point about what you experience, because now you actually can look and you see that you're
yeah,
worth so much more. That
yes.
it was never about anyone else. It was always about you and
Amen.
our God that we serve, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And people need to know that, right? And anyone who's listening to this message, know that it's true for you too. Know
Yeah.
that the most important person in your life is the person staring back at you in the mirror, right? And your creator, right?
Yes.
That is the only, those are the only two opinions that really should matter,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day. And so, and I think one of the most liberating things that I've been able to do as an adult, because I didn't get to this point till I was an adult, but it was
Right.
getting delivered from people's
But at
opinions.
least you got there, girl. At least you got there. There's some people who are, they still don't got it yet. They up there,
Mhm.
and they just I don't care. I don't care what age you get it, as long as you get it and you continue to keep going with what you got. You
Yeah,
get me?
I get
Just
you.
use what you get out of it. Take the lessons as your blessings
Come on now.
and go forward, man. Don't let nothing stop y'all, guys. I promise y'all. I am living proof that you can be unstoppable. It's
Yes.
all in here. It's
Yes.
all what you think. And not
Yeah.
only just what you think, it's also what you feel in your heart. Because whatever is going
Mhm.
on in your heart is going to trigger what you're thinking inside your mind. And whatever's going on in your mind is going to trigger the emotions you have in your heart.
Mhm.
And in order for us to break free of these cycles and the things that we experience and just see them for the experiences that they were, like we don't have to hold on to them so tight like we own them, right? It's more like, look, I experienced what it was like to be homeless. I experienced what it was like to be broke. I experienced what it was like to be in an abusive relationship. I experienced what it was like to be a wealthier person. I experienced what it was like to eat healthier. I experienced what it was like to change the way I think. You have to look at, if you look at each and everything singly as just the experience that it is, guys, it will release so much tension from you. Even me just saying that to you just now, how did that just make you feel? Like, look, it's just an experience, right? You just feel, okay, it happened, right? But
Mhm.
it didn't happen to us. It happened for us.
For
It happened to grow
mhm.
us. You get me?
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yes.
listen, go ahead, keep going, girl. We still
Yeah.
got some more time.
And so that actually reminds me of a quote that I put in the book, that says that our past doesn't define us, but it refines us, right? And it's
Mm,
and it's so important that we
that's
understand.
powerful.
Is thank you, to God be the glory. That was life lived, that experience. Because a lot of times through life, for me, I used to equate my value through what I had been through, right? Even once
Yes.
I became successful, and in a sense of, right, there's, you know, success is all relative, right? But
Right.
even once I came to the point where I was able to kind of break that cycle of poverty that I grew up in. I still saw myself as that. Oh, that's just Kiki from the block, right? Like that's just
Right. Right.
that this
Oh, I get it because
it's a facade.
we
Yes,
never
I'm from the
see
project.
ourselves the way other people see us.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Yeah, I said that's true because a lot of times we don't see ourselves the way
Yes.
that other people see us. Like for us, the way we
Mhm.
see ourselves, we feel like oh yeah, I'm there, but I'm not there yet. But somebody else that see you be like, oh
Right.
man, she's there, man. Look at Keanna. Look what, but damn,
Right.
dear, what
Right.
else is going on? You know?
Right. But I dealt with imposter syndrome for so many years because of everything that I went through and the challenges that, growing up poor and having to struggle most of my life, caused me to sometimes even self sabotage, so that when I was
That part,
beginning to elevate, I would do something, or I would allow something, even just my own self defeating thoughts or self limiting thoughts, to pull me back. Right. And so it took a lot of work,
yeah.
a lot of inner work.
How did you overcome those self-limiting beliefs? Well, actually, that takes me into this part of the interview where I want to talk a little bit about the process that you took to actually go ahead and get it done and have the confidence that you needed to just let it all out and really share your story, and everything like that. So, can you describe what was your writing process? What was the process for you to actually go ahead and write it and get it done?
Yeah, so my writing process, for me, it was almost therapeutic. Like, I would just commit to taking time. I would take out a journal, and I would take time to, like, a certain amount of time each day, or however I felt led, to just literally, like, as I stated earlier, kind of throw up on paper and pour out my heart, right? What I learned the more I tried to perfect the words on paper, the more I interrupted the process, right? And
Mm.
anyone who's looking to write, I would encourage you, don't focus on editing. Don't at that moment as you're writing initially, you have editors for that, or you can go back later. But
Yes.
it's just it's just really about pouring your heart on paper, right? And being authentic and showing up as your true self, right? And that is what I found to be the most effective in my writing process. And also another thing that was helpful for me was getting in the right environment. There's a gentleman that I listened to, an author by the name of Joe Dispenza, and he says that your personal,
That's
you're like, okay,
my
dude,
guy.
he's so good. And one of the things he says is, our personal reality becomes our
Personal
personality.
reality. Absolutely.
Right. Our personal reality becomes our
Personality.
personality. So that means whatever you're surrounding yourself with, right, is ultimately going to influence how you are showing up in the world. And so I realized, okay, sometimes I needed to really get into the right creative writing space. I needed to leave my house. I needed to leave my everyday surroundings and go somewhere, go to the park, go sit by the ocean, or go somewhere where I could actually think more freely. And so sometimes it's just a change of scenery can do us very well when we're looking to when we're trying
That's a
to write.
fact.
Yes.
That's really really true.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I guess the next question that I have when it came to your writing, of course, you shared with us some things about how you stayed motivated and how you stayed focused. Did you have any additional mentors that were there to help you along the way? Did you have the support that you needed? And how important was it to actually have that support to help you get it done?
I tell people all the time, community is so vitally important. It is major, especially when you're stepping out to pursue purpose. Because, as we know, the enemy doesn't necessarily sit like idly by and say, "Oh, okay, do your thing, girl," right?
That
So,
part.
all right, the moment you make a decision, like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna write this book. I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna whatever it is the Lord's laying on your heart, it seems like all hell just be trying to break out. Just
Uh
on the
huh.
inside.
The self sabotage, the doubt.
It's just
Hey,
like,
look, I just went through it, y'all. I just went through it even before doing this thing with
yes,
her. I told you I
yes,
had to start singing to
yes.
myself, like,
Mhm.
you can't stop me. No, you can't.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
literally had to be like, are
Yes.
you serious
Yeah.
right now?
Hmm. And so, because what helps with that is having the right people in your circle. And I remember when I wrote the book the first time back in 2012, as I mentioned, I had paid to be in this mentorship program, so it was published through that published it there. And so then my mentor in the program was really instrumental during that time. But who was even the friend also that I mentioned that had shared that piece of advice, in terms of, if you when he told me, if you don't write your story, God can't get the glory. Like, that was uh someone that I will always give credit to for being one of my biggest cheerleaders during that process, to the point where I would say that, yeah, I would say he more than anyone, because this is the crazy part. Many times it's not going to be your
Yes.
closest friends. Like, it's not going to be the people that you grew up with. It's not going to be people you went to college with. It's not going to be the people that you thought would really be there to support you. No, that's not necessarily the case. It was someone that had literally came into my life while I was writing the book, like, and became a good friend. It was almost for
Yes.
that period. It was like a short period of time, but um, from the time that I was writing the book to the time I released the book, I would say he played a very pivotal role. And one of the things that my mentor, though, at the time did say when we started the process was to identify 5 people that could be cheerleaders for you. And I had a whole list of 5, but honestly, he was the only one that I can
Mhm.
actually give credit to say, okay, he was very helpful and supportive of me as I went through that
Yes.
process. And so sometimes all it takes is one, right? But it has to be a dedicated one.
It's
Yeah.
very
Hmm.
true.
Hmm.
Which is very important, guys. You know, can you do it by yourself? Yes, you can. Should you do it by yourself? No,
Exactly.
you should not.
Yeah.
Get the support that you actually need. So, Keanna, as we getting ready to close, do you have any plans for any future books or projects coming
I
up?
do. So, actually, I have a couple of book projects that I'm working on. I'm looking to develop, create a journal to go with this Detours to Destiny that I'm going to be releasing in the coming months.
Nice.
And I'm also working on a book on how to have because I'm a business growth strategist, and so I help people grow their businesses
Yes.
and develop thriving businesses. And so I'm working on a book on how to develop create multiple streams of income from anywhere in the world, from anywhere in the world.
I
Yes.
love it.
And so working.
That's right up my alley.
Awesome. Nice, nice, very nice. I may have to reach out to you.
Because we kind of do the same thing in that area where I'm also a business strategist. So when I'm hearing you talking my language, I told you we got some stuff
I
to
love
do.
it. I'm with
I
it.
told
Let's
you.
do it. Let's do it. And so I'm working on that.
Go ahead, continue. I'm
No,
sorry,
it's okay.
big mouth. Go ahead, talk, finish.
It's okay. But definitely stay tuned. I have a couple of other projects that's in the works. I've been holding back because the Lord gave me a list some time ago of books, and unfortunately, I allowed other things to take priority. But this is my season now to go forth and produce those works,
Yes.
and you'll be hearing more about. Um, uh Dr. K, as they call me, in the future
Yes.
months, I began to reveal some of those works. I'm sorry, some of those projects. But I will also say, right now, the project that I am giving my focus to is my YouTube channel. So, which is Live Out Loud with Dr. K. I'll put it in the chat for anyone who wants to connect with me. But for
Yeah.
now, that's where I'm going to be showing up the most to the world,
Okay.
because for me, that is a way to connect with people emotionally. And while I am able to do that through my books, I feel that for this time and season, uh, utilizing YouTube as the platform is going to be uh, perhaps the best route for me. Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I'm doing a lot of traveling right now, and I get to take you all with me on those traveling
Yes.
adventures. And
And not
so,
only
yeah.
that, YouTube also allows you to monetize. So why not?
Yes. Yes. And
I
if I'm
say
going to
I
talk,
always gotta find a way to bring you back to the bag. It'd be like, yeah, I want to talk about
let's
all
do
this trauma,
it.
but let me bring you back to the bag.
Exactly. If I'm going to publish a book in the coming weeks about months about having multiple streams of income, best to believe I'm going to be developing my own multiple streams of income as
Okay.
well, so that I can speak to that experience. Yes.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly, man. Listen, this time together with you has been just so amazing. Besides the projects and all of the new things that you have coming up, first of all, before I even leave, I want to tell you that I am so proud of you for having the courage to share your story. And a lot of people really, really need to see that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share your story because
Hmm.
your story is not for you, and even you're not share your story because I also help entrepreneurs and experts and coaches write your how-to book. So whatever your expertise is, teach somebody else how to do it. That's how you actually leverage your
Yeah.
business, right? That's how you expand some things here or whatever.
Mhm.
So before we go, Keanna, what final words of wisdom would you like to share with our listeners about pursuing their own detour to destiny?
Mhm. Yeah. So I would like to encourage you to get out of your own way. One of the greatest mistakes I made in the early part of my career was being my own worst enemy and getting too caught up in my head, suffering from paralysis of analysis. Don't make that mistake, right? Don't allow yourself to be your detour, because that can be the most challenging detour to ever deal with. And so I encourage you, wherever you are in life, to answer that call, to ignite that fire within you, to go forth and do what it is that God is calling you to do. Because, a lot of times we try to say, oh, I'm going to do that someday. But the problem with someday is that someday is not a day of the week. And so don't
Absolutely not. It's
call.
not on the calendar.
It's not on the calendar. So it's nothing definitive saying that you're going to go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. So go ahead and own your destiny, own your voice, own your greatness, and show up to this world, giving them what it is that God has placed in you to give. Go out
Yes.
and be great.
And why now? Why now should they write their book, Keanna?
They should write their book now because the reality is that we are living in interesting times, and especially for those who have a message of hope or inspiration or encouragement, people need to hear that right now. There's a lot going on in the economy and politics. I mean, who you listen, if you just turn on the TV, you already know. I don't have to get into the
Yeah.
details. You know that these are interesting times that we are in, and tomorrow's not promised to no man. So don't delay what it is that God has gifted you with, because we can't take our days for granted. If you have something on your heart, if you have a book, you have a poetry, whatever, a how to do
Whatever,
book,
yes.
right,
Course.
right, just go and do it. Stop getting in your own way and actually embrace the project and go forth and allow God to use you in that way, and trust the process while you do it.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
Keanna. Where can our listeners find your book and how can they follow your journey? Give them all your Instagrams, your YouTubes and all of
Mhm.
that, which she's gonna put it in the comments after the interview is over. She's gonna come back in on Facebook and put everything inside the comments. And if you're watching us from YouTube, we'll get the link together and we'll put it there. But where can they find you, Keanna? How can they buy your book, find your book, and how can they get to know more about you?
So, you can purchase the book on Amazon if you just type in Detours to Destiny. I'll also put it here in the chat. So you have it there. Since I published it, I know there has been other people who have now used that title, but just look for my name, Keanna Lynette, and you'll be able to find me that way as well. And then in terms of connecting with me on social media, so I rebranded all my social media platforms to Live Out Loud with Dr. K. So that includes YouTube, as I mentioned earlier, as well as IG and TikTok. And so feel free to connect with me on all those platforms, if you will. And then on LinkedIn, you can find me under Dr. Keanna Lynette Ralph. And so I'm just excited about connecting with you all. I have some things in the works, and I look forward to being able to have you join me along on this journey.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys all so much for being here tonight because I see a lot in the comments. You guys were rocking out. I want to give a special shout out to a few people. If I could see you, if I could see you, because my
Yeah.
computer be bugging. Okay, so we shout out to Omar. We shout out to
Yes.
Curtis. We shout out to Dr. Love Jones. We shout out
Mhm.
to Shadira. And there's a lot of you guys, but now my computer just did something even more weird. So listen, I'm sorry if I didn't shout you out. My bad. Just know that I love you. And go get a copy of that book right now, guys. It is
Yeah.
available on Amazon. Detours to Destiny by the one and only Doctor. But she doesn't have that on the cover just yet. But her next set of books will have
Yeah.
Doctor on the
It
cover.
will be there.
That
Yeah.
Dr. Keanna Lynette. Okay. And guys, thank you again for an amazing night. Thank you guys for participating. And if y'all have any questions that y'all wanted to ask Keanna that I didn't ask, please put them in the chat. And when we do our recap,
Thank you,
then
Mark.
we will go ahead and make sure that Keanna answers the questions that you do have. So we love you. Thank you again. And remember, guys, you got the power. All right?
That's right.
You got the power. We out of
Yes.
here. We love you so much. Have an amazing night. Deuces.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
expensive
guys.
things. I ain't got no worries, no. If it's your dream, you can make it happen.
It's all about you.
It's
It's
your
your
life.
life. You could do what you like. Don't let nobody